Hey there, everybody. Vessel of Truth here. Jay from Virginia for the new people. I was just wanting to do a short video, and I do mean short, um, just to give you some more information on basically cloning. And got a lot of emails and then been a couple questions about, cloning where people really don't quite understand um, what it is a clone really is. Um, so basically, just hit it head on. As I was saying, just about all of well, your political leaders, your celebrities, your huge rock musicians, and so on and so forth, athletes, so on and so forth. Basically, anyone that has um, huge influence to be able to influence um, the views and the decisions of the people. Um, if anyone that has bukus of money and a huge following, um, which can include your huge bigwig fat cat teachers, preachers, evangelists, so on and so forth. Um, they are cloned. Now, what does that mean? Usually, the way this happens is, whenever an up and coming star or athlete or musician or whatever, they will be approached. And if they, agree, which most will, because it's basically an offer that you can't refuse, they will make a contract. And this contract will ensure that, they have whatever they want. Fame, fortune, money, cars, houses, women, whatever, drugs, whatever, the individual wants. Um, in return for basically their soul. Um, this contract is usually signed in blood, and usually it's innocent blood. Um, yeah, that being, the blood of a child of innocence. Um, these are also, your bigwig, fat cat people that, seem to never age because they're in on, getting the adrenochrome and so on and so forth. Uh, Believe it or not, the biggest users of the adrenochrome are the females. Uh, and, I'm not taking away from the fact that a lot of the celebrity women, that's in Hollywood and all that, they're actually males. They've just been changed over. Um, but be that as it may, the clones. So basically, this individuals, they sign these contracts. After that contract signed, sooner or later, they will have certain tests done. Um, One of the main tests that has to be done it's called an encephalogram. Now, basically, an encephalogram is a scan done on the brain. Um, that's basically all the doctors and all that will tell the person, because usually the doctor doing the test, they really don't know because they don't read the films and so on and so forth. But what this encephalogram really does is it records everything that's in your brain, your thoughts, your neurological pathways of thinking, your memories, your knowledge, your experiences, everything that makes you you. For layman's terms, those people that understand computers, it's basically like taking an original music CD or a DVD movie, putting it in your computer and making a copy of that exact movie or album of music. And just as you know, whenever you're doing this, sometimes when you are making copies of original movies or albums or whatever, in the copying process, there are glitches. Well, it's the same thing with when they're making copies of people's brain. So now these famous people, the elite people, now have the copy of this person's being, all their thoughts, memories, and so on and so forth, that makes this person them. They then get what they need, and that's usually just a couple skin cells, hair follicle, whatever, and they will clone that person's body. Not the technology that was used before. It took them around 2 weeks to make an adult clone. Of course, now this clone will be different because it will just be the body. So that's where, there's a difference in, you've seen some famous people that, there's pictures of them with certain tattoos, and then you'll see them again and they'll be in different places, or they won't have a certain tattoo yet. That's because, that clone hasn't gotten that on them yet. But anyway, after the clone is made and ready, the encephalograph disc will be uploaded to the clone. And then, for all practical purposes, this clone that they have made is the exact copy of this celebrity or politician or whatever they are. In turn, usually they will kill the original person. Like I said, when you sell your soul, the enemy makes sure you're not going to renege on the contract that you agree to. Now, as I was saying about the glitches, people, we've all seen, videos and news bites and so on and so forth of certain celebrities or politicians or whatever just whacked out of their head. They are having problems with speech, or it seems like, at times they have different identities, which, some of these people that are in these same family bloodlines, they are brought up through the MK Ultra mind control program. So even though they have clones of these people, that mental instability is still transferred into the clones. It just increases the chances of having glitches. Like I think one of the biggest people known for glitches is like Britney Spears and Who's that other real whacked out lady? I can't think of her name. But she's like, um, she's a singer of some sort. I can't think of her name, but there's a lot of videos out there of her whacked out. You have, the things with Nancy Pelosi that's just now going around where she's all whacked out, slobbering and, speaking babble and so on and so forth. And of course, she's a drunk too. So you have to add that into it. There's just, many, many, many videos of all kinds of different famous people that have these glitches. There's that one of the weatherman Al Roker, where you have the same thing of mind control with him, but he's also a clone. And certain word phrases that they use to program these people, turn them on and turn them off. It sounds amazing, but it's the truth. And they even showed this to everyone. If you go and if you can find the movie, which is hard to find right now, has been for many years. It's called the Boys from Brazil, I do believe is the name of that movie. But in this movie, they show you the first technology and all that of the way that they used to make human clones, and we're talking back in the 40s. And I mean, in this movie, it's all about making a clone of Hitler, and Hitler was cloned. It's a fact. Hitler didn't, the history that we have where Hitler was killed, it's a lie. He actually died later on in Brazil. The history that we have today is all lies, which I know a lot of the people in the truth community already know this, but that's one thing, but spiritual implications is another. The original person is killed off that has a clone made of them because that original person has the soul or the spirit that the contract is about. So if this person dies while this contract, is still between them, and the person never repented to the Father to be born again, receiving Christ as their Lord and Savior, they are damned. And then, here in the real world, there's still another one of these people that they cloned with all their abilities, with all of their, knowledge and their little quirks that make us us. And, they can make that person several times over and just upload consciousness to them. But they do not have a soul or a spirit. There's no way they can be saved. They are not a entity that, has a soul, but they are a clone. So that clone can be possessed by an evil spirit. See, everything that we call demons and devils, they are the disembodied spirits of like the Titans and the Nephilim of old that were killed because there's no place for them to go. They can't go to heaven because they're an abomination. They are a creation that the Father never intended to ever be. And hell's not made for them either. So, in the end, at the judgment, they will just be thrown into the lake of fire. because these entities are immortal. They don't die, um, because they're a total abomination. Um, I know it sounds really far fetched, but this is the truth. Um, and believe it or not, this stuff has been going on really since the late 30s, early 40s. Um, and this is just some of the stuff that we know about. You know, there's documentation of animal human hybrids and so on and so forth, but that stuff, very rarely will there ever be any reports of animal human hybrids. They keep that stuff really, 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 really reined in. Everything that we know about has come from people that were able to spill the beans before they were killed off, or information that was leaked out that was able to be leaked before they were ever able to get it from being in so many people's hands that they couldn't stop it from being known. Then in those cases they put a spin on it, to where people will think, that's just a bunch of hogwash and lies, somebody just crying for attention or something. But it all goes back to the programming that we are subject to through all of the creation of Hollywood movies. You figure UFOs, aircraft that are able to move without engines. They actually use anti-gravitics. They have all kinds of movies about that. Cloaking technology was made big in Star Trek. With the Klingons that had the cloaking technology. All of this exists, and to close-minded people, they automatically think, yeah, right, that's on TV, that ain't real. But fact of the matter is, it is real. And you have to admit, the plot and the plan that our adversary has put forth was and it is brilliant, because it's working. Very, very few people can really see past, the charade that's going on. They buy into the the right and left paradigm. The Republican and Democrat. That doesn't exist. That's just like China, Russia, and Iran, and all these people that are sworn enemies. That's a lie. It's like wrestling. You see all these wrestlers, beating the snot out of each other, fighting, bickering, and all that. But yet, after the show's done and over, they went out eating lunch and drinking coffee together because they're friends. They're all on the same team. The whole world is a stage. This charade that is going on right now, if anything, should have really made people see that every nation in the world are all on board with everyone. They shut the whole world down over a scary story. That has never happened. And that wouldn't happen if China was a country of itself, Russia was a country of itself, North Korea, South Korea, Israel, Australia, France, Britain, if all these places were just a country with their own interests, all by themselves, the whole world would not be doing the same thing. I mean, that's common sense. But people buy into the propaganda that is played 24/7 on their little scrying mirror television set. It's one thing to listen to the information, but there are frequencies that's coming through that television. And if you know anything about programming of the frame rates of pictures, they can have hidden messages between each frame, and you yourself consciously will not pick that up, but you subconsciously, that registers because your brain does pick that up, and it just goes to making you whatever they are trying to make you. You will believe it. You figure one of the biggest forms of control is repetition. You figure for I don't know how long, 24/7, no matter what channel news you're listening to, they're talking about, this deadly contagion that's going on and people dying left and right. You figure if that's all you hear, people start to believe it. That's why, one of my things that, I tell people whenever they're first learning, the Word of God and to walk as a child of Yahuwah, put the Bible on. Listen to the Bible while you sleep, because that gets in you. It's a proven fact, People that's, learning new languages, they will put, learning tapes and all that on while they're sleeping. And even while they sleep, they wake up the next morning and they know more than what they did prior. I don't know how it works, but it works. And now you figure that they're beginning to use technology on people, individuals, that is, that's causing them problems to, single them out to where, instead of sending people there to teach you a lesson, they can do it through wavelengths and frequencies. They can target just you. You can be in a crowd of 1 million people and, they can blanket the area with certain frequencies and all that, and it will only hurt you. That's what I'm saying. The technology that they have is so far advanced that if you look at it realistically, as well as going with what the Word of Yahuwah says, nowhere in the Word do you find that we are to fight against this world power that's going to come and want us dead because of us having the testimony of Christ and keeping the commandments of Yahuwah. Nowhere does it show we fight until Christ comes back. Then we fight. But basically, kind of like the way I see it is Christ is the lead horse and he just does everything while we watch. How can you fight frequencies? We're all susceptible to them unless the Father steps in. And that's what I'm saying. You've got all these websites, talking to us, stock up, which, hey, yes, stock up. There'll be a time that will come in handy up until, they're ready to extinguish us. At the time of when they are ready to extinguish us, they will flip a switch. They'll send in people to round us up, which means they'll carry us out unconscious, and we'll wake up wherever they want us to be, in whatever prison, FEMA camp, or hole in the ground, or whatever. And then from there, you'll be given that choice. Worship the beast, take the mark, whatever, to live or refuse it and die. I'd believe those of us who are already made our statement of there's no way that I will ever renege or renounce Christ, who are stepping out to wake up the masses. No matter the turmoil, no matter the consequences, no matter the heartache, no matter the pain, we just continue reaching out to our brothers. We'll be killed right off the bat. They won't even fool with us. They'll make an example out of us. So be it. I'm not being fear pornish. I just want people to understand, the word of Yahuwah is explicit. He was our example. Christ was. You have the disciples that are examples after Christ. Yeah, there are, many books on the martyrs and all that. They took care of their own, yes, scuffles, fights, whatever. But when it came time when the world power of that age came after them because of their testimony of Christ and keeping the commandments, they did not fight. What could they have done? If they fought, they would have just been killed meaninglessly. But by going with them every step of the way, giving more, testimony to them about why they won't stop, spreading the gospel, gave glory to the Father up until the point they were killed. Then they were martyred. And all the other people that heard about it said they died for Christ. He's real. They weren't lying. Because that's one way when someone's telling the truth, when they will not change their mind even at the point of death. Because, deep down we all want to live. But there's one thing I can definitely say. No matter what, death included, I will not renounce Yahuwah or his son Yeshua. He died for me. I'll die for him. 10 times over, definitely. That's what I'm saying, we have to be realistic. There's a reason why we still have our firearms. If they were an issue, they would be gone tomorrow. I guarantee it. But they're not an issue. Look at who owns the industry that makes the firearms. Every scary story that they give us, millions more run out and buy firearms. That's just more money for them, more money for the people that own the ammo, and basically all goes back to the 7 people that own everything, all the corporations. And then after
they've made enough money off of, the people, and everybody don't need to buy no more guns or no more ammo. Fine. Flip the switch, it's time. And we have just played right into their hands. I'm not being mean because, our hope is not in firearms and bullets and band-aids and beans. All that stuff is meaningless. What is the main thing with us is who we live for, who's inside of us. Without the Father, you're dead already. What does it matter? If you fight or not, you're dead already. Your life when they kill you, you just be another dead person. But if you're one of the soldiers of the Father, doing your best to, spread the truth and help your brothers and sisters, everybody else in that community will take note when they kill you off and you die for our Father and our Creator. It's just that simple. But for some reason, I really don't know of anybody that stepping up and will tell you the truth. And I know why. It's not a happy thing to talk about. But to me, it is kind of happy because at least my end will mean something. I will die glorifying the Father. Hey, that's good. It beats just dying meaningless. This subject isn't going to bring a bunch of people to your channel. It's not going to make you popular. It'll get you ridiculed and made fun of, called a quack, a freak. So be it. In the end, I know I'll be known as being the person that told the truth. I'm not in a popularity contest. I'm making these videos for my brothers and sisters that they will know the truth before it happens. And that way they know what they're dealing with. Not only are they're clones, I didn't even touch the robotoid part. There are people, they look exactly like you and me, but they're not flesh and blood. They are a robotoid, and you can always tell them by their eyes and the way they blink. They blink like, a DVD player does whenever it's like loading, how it'll flash. Their eyes will blink just like that too. The whole time that, they're talking, they're doing this as, they're talking because they're like receiving programming or what to say through a signal. And then, there are other beings other than that, It's why, it's just another reason why, the word says, we wrestle not against flesh and blood. It is everything in this world, in essence, boils down to a spiritual fight. You have the black team, you have the white team. I hate it whenever you get a mustache hair in your mouth. But like I told you in a video before, I boiled everything down. Everything in this life always boils down to one thing. Make your choice. It's that easy. From the day that you were born, the enemy does all that he can to get your attention and to keep your attention all the way through till the day you die. And on the other side, you have the Father, who fills people like me, you, others, that goes out and tells our brothers and our sisters the truth of why we're here, in hopes of winning our brothers and sisters over into the family of Yahuwah. Because we're all going to die. It's what this life is all about. Choose you this day in whom you will serve. You're either a child of Yahuwah or you're a child of the devil. That is total simplicity of our existence here. Yes, there's a lot of other things here we should be aware of. Tactics and things that the enemy is doing. Traps, snares to catch us and to cause us to fall. It's nothing to him to, sacrifice a few of his people to destroy one of us. He'll offer you drugs, money, the world, fame, fortune. All you have to do is give up your soul. This offer, it exists for every one of us. And people are oblivious to a lot of things because they will sit and they will listen to this stuff that's so-called music today that is basically just a band of demons playing, serenade, as your soul is just sliding down the slide to hell. He'll gladly let you have as many women as you want because he's got all kinds of them on the payroll. He'll give you whatever you want. That's why the Bible says, what does a man gain even if he gains the whole world to lose his own soul? And then the Father, he tells us to forsake the whole world. He even says, the friend of the world is the enemy of God. If a person loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. So you can either be part of the world and be, a servant of the devil, or you can be separate of the world and be a child of Yahuwah. It's that easy. I really do recommend that movie, The Boys from Brazil. Because, they just flat out tell you exactly the way that we used to clone people back in the early years. Now, I don't know how fast they can do a clone nowadays. I'm sure that the technology that they have now is way farther advanced than, from the leaks that we have. You figure there's the patent numbers for cloning and so on and so forth, robotoids, they're all available to the public. Just look them up. Just because something sounds crazy or because Hollywood has, movies on this subject doesn't mean that it's fairy tale land or it doesn't exist. If Hollywood's making movies about it, more times than not, it exists. And that's just it, because there's that unwritten rule. You know, that the Father will do nothing unless he tells his children, the prophets, and the enemy can't do anything without letting us know. The way he talks is through Hollywood, through symbology, you know, all these symbols and so on and so forth. He lets us know. That's why we have to be alert. You know, the Bible commands us to know our enemy. You know, we're not to be ignorant of Satan's devices, and he has a lot of them. I'm just going to end with one last thing. Everybody should know, especially now, unless you've been living under a rock, things are really getting crazy. You know, there's tension in the air. There's spirits, and I do mean evil spirits, flowing everywhere. Guard yourself. CERN is being used to open portals left and right. You know, they're letting more and more entities in from beyond the veil here. And there are new entities here that people's not dealt with before. And the enemy is getting more and more brazen in their attack. I mean, I know of attacks that are going on openly, where you can actually see things. Be prayed up. Put the full armor of God on every day before you get out of bed. Be ready for spiritual warfare all the time. Know who you are. Ask for the protection of the Father. Ask him. Pray to Yahuwah and ask for the hedge of protection to be upon you, to allow angelic protection. Because be aware of all your surroundings, especially the shadows, because they move. And the more we step out and the more we speak the truth, the more we're going to be attacked and the more we're going to suffer. So be ready. At all times be ready. And count it all joy that you suffer for his name's sake. I pray this helps you and gives you more understanding. If anybody needs any more, insight or information about a subject, let me know in the comments and I'll do what I can. But until then, next time that is, I love you all and keep seeking the face of the Father always, because he is our only hope.